Ui, live gila. Bila kita nak dapat singa ni?
Itu TikTok.
Woi Iman, kau dah macam Arif. Iman, kau dah macam Arif. Bodoh lah Iman.
Mana Iman? Tengok.
Kau tu Iman macam Arif.
Yang mana? Gambar.
Man, kau tak nak invite Bro Najib ke?
Iya mana iya? Aku berjambang je, dia tu nampak kan.
Aku kan baru ada misal sikit bos dah suruh buang doh. Dia kata kalau tak kena tolak markah.
Tak pun. Ya
Oi, makan makanan hospital le, baik-baik oi.
Tak tahu. Itu masuk. Ayo tu. Cuba kau komen. Ayo komen Iman.
Main dah PUBG. Buat live. Apa main?
Ada komen YouTube. Cuba try komen. Komen YouTube naik.
Kau yang akan jaga komen tu macam kita.
Tu ada. Lewat rezeki.
Dia apa? Dia pakai je.
Naik man.
Ada tu.
So nanti kan dia suruh teknikal kan 2 orang jadi panel untuk malam ni.
Ni nak masuk dah.
Buat olok-olok je lah.
Ya betul.
Hang mana songkok hang baju Melayu samping semua am.
Pakai ni, lagi. Ayo, kalau orang. Dia kata tak. Sama
Dia pakai baju IB Burma dia lah.
Tadi ada orang cakap ada kena prank.
Ayo confirm dia pakai baju IB Burma dia baca doa lagi. Aku rasa kan lepas ni kita jimit macam ni je lah. Hai chef. Hai. Hai chef.
Apa
Muka kita sama. Muka kita sama ah.
Abang. Abang kemana kau menggila sama ni bang?
Bodoh. Bergurau macam dah lama kenal lu. Gampang tu.
Tahu je orang kata macam ni.
Aduh. Kufra ni bila nak on ni? Maknanya kita kena masuk dekat Jimmy tu sekali juga ke?
Dia kata siapa yang bagi nama je kan sampai hari ni.
Masuk stream dia kan yang nama tu masuk stream dia.
Tapi yang peliknya dia tulis tu nama yang tidak boleh hadir. Terus semua orang list nama
Ya
tak
maksudnya mungkin dia buat tulis macam kat YouTube. Tapi dia kena yang StreamYard tu nama yang dia bagi dalam grup tu. So nanti kita keluar lah.
Hai.
Asal nak hampa.
Oh, kita ada Google Meet yang masuk.
Yo, dia kata. Apa yang kamu? Wei, dia nama lagi lo.
Aduh.
Wei, dia nama tak lepas kali. Nama dia. Nanti aja dia lepas kali tu. Ini orang dia.
Aduh, rosak.
Masuk Google Meet lah.
Kita orang masuk Google Meet ah.
Betul.
Beres.
Dia minta tu.
Tinggal 3 orang dia dah jadi
Iman ganti Aiman ah.
Oh.
Iman ganti Aiman ke dalam ni?
Mana ada
Ya. Okey, kita orang pergi Jimmy dulu.
Okey.
Aku dah test dah. Boleh.
Pakai apa? Ada. Kau komen.
You go.
Nonton.
Tak dah. Apa dah? Boleh.
Attention to all participants and audience. Our webinar session will begin shortly. Make sure to remain seated. Adjust yourself comfortably and please lend us your ears. Assalamualaikum and good morning to everyone. Welcome to our webinar. My name is Nur Adlina Ismail and I will be your moderator for today. As we all know, our webinar for today is entitled Managing Stress and Work-Life Balance. This event is organized by Bachelor's Degree student in Food Service Management from University Technology Mara, Branch Terengganu Campus Dungun. We are extremely excited to meet all the audience that are joining our webinar for today. Before we begin, let's all take a moment to praise Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for all the rahmah He has given as we are able to attend today's webinar on this blessing day through Doa recitation. So I would like to invite Shahrul Izzuddin to lead the Doa recitation. Bismillah. Shahrul Izzuddin for leading the Doa recitation on our webinar today. Before we keep any further, I want to keep everyone reminded regarding the functionality of YouTube Live. Your active participation is important throughout the whole session, and there are a few things that you can do to actively participate in our webinar, which includes leaving your comments, any thought or opinion on the comment section. I will try my best to check all the comments as well as respond to it as we go. Plus, at the end of this session, there will be a Q&A session where you can ask any question regarding the topic we discuss. Please be reminded to use appropriate language as word during this webinar session. A short reminder to all participants and audiences, the registration and KI form will be given on end of this webinar. The e-certificate will only be given to those who successfully submitted these forms. The link is on the YouTube description section. Dear audiences, we invited two honorable panelists to join our webinar today. Representing the members of the event, I would like to express our deepest gratitude to Mr. Muhammad Shamizi bin Siddiq and Mrs. Carrie Grace James for accepting our invitation and joining us today. Welcome to our webinar, Managing Stress and Work-Life Balance. Our first panelist is Mr. Muhammad Shamizi bin Siddiq. Mr. Shamizi is a lecturer in Psychology Department at University of Malacca. He is an alumni of University College of Islam Malacca, graduated with a bachelor's degree honors in psychology. Encik Shamizi, how are you today? Alhamdulillah, thank you. For our second panelist, we have Mrs. Carrie Grace James. She is the Senior Psychology Officer at University Malaysia Science, UMS. On top of that, she also an alumni of University Malaysia Sarawak, UNIMAS, graduate with a bachelor's degree honors in counselling. Mrs. Carrie, how are you today? Great to know that you are doing fine. Here, we have introduced two of our panelists for today's webinar. Again, we are honored to have two respected panelists joining us today. The topic of discussion for today's webinar is managing stress and work-life balance. Therefore, we hope that our panel can share with us a lot of knowledge regarding this topic. And for all the audiences, you may ask any question and I will select some of these questions for the Q&A session later on. Without further ado, let us start today's program. For the first slot, we will talk about the managing stress. The main purpose of managing stress is to help us in breaking the hole which stress has in our life. It does not matter your age, gender, career, stress can be experienced by everyone. Therefore, there are many ways for us to manage our stress which can give us many benefits. Good management stress can help us to go through our life journey better. So, I'd like to ask the panelists a few questions. Encik Shamizi, based on your experience as the lecturer at Universiti Melaka, lepas tu nanti ada soalan. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Shamizi. Thank you, Encik Shamizi, for the great sharing session. Then, I will continue with our second panel, Mrs. Carey. Mrs. Carey, how about? Soalan dia, okay. Thank you very much for the informative explanation, Mrs. Carey. Before we proceed, a short reminder to all participants and audiences. The registration and KI form will be given end of this webinar. E-certificate will only be given to those who successfully submitted this form. The link is on the YouTube description section. I will keep you guys reminded. Untuk aku cakap tapi tak dengar kan? Huh? Okay, welcome back. We are going to go with a second slide. The second slide is maintaining work-life balance. Maintaining work-life balance helps reduce stress and help prevent burnout in the workplace. It also refers for a harmonious relationship between work and personal life. So I'd like to ask Mrs. Carey. So Mrs. Carey, how about? Thank you, Mrs. Carey, for the great information. Then I will continue with our second panelist, Encik Shamizi. So Encik Shamizi, as a psychology and lecturer at Universiti Melaka, so apa pandangan Encik Shamizi tentang perkara sekian-sekian? Thank you very much, Encik Shamizi, for the informative explanation. Again, I would like to remind before leaving this webinar, please ensure you have filled up the e-certificate and KI form, which is already open for the access in the YouTube description section. Without further ado, we will go ahead and take some time for the question now. It looks like we have a few questions. So the first question is, what is the main reason of stress? So can our panel answer the question? We will go to Encik Shamizi. As the Q&A session has been done, our webinar session has come to an end. Before that, I would like to conclude our webinar topic for today. In conclusion, every problem or conflict we face in our daily life can come from various directions that can cause our emotions to be unstable and indirectly affect our work life without realizing it. To maintain our emotional stability and be good at managing work-life balance is to train ourselves or try to adapt to the situation. There are many techniques we can come up with to deal the problem as mentioned by our panelists throughout this webinar session. And we may use or implement the information provided by our panel members in daily life so that we all do not face this problem anymore. This webinar includes encouragement, discussion, and debate by the esteemed panelists. I hope this webinar will give knowledge and information to everyone who is present here. The program has finally come to the end. Once again, thank you for everyone for gracing this program with your presence. We really appreciate it. It is honor to have Mr. Muhammad Shamizi and Mrs. Carrie Grace as our panel for today's session. On behalf of the organizer, thank you for joining us today. We hope you find this information and dialogue valuable in supporting yourself to be a successful person. You can make yourself a difference. I, Adlina, would like to take a chance to seek your apology for any wrongdoings or mistake throughout our session today. Thank you to all the audiences for joining our webinar today. We are really appreciate your participation in our webinar. Now, we will show the closing ceremony video. Once again, we would like to remind you to fill in the e-certificate form and KI form. Thank you. This webinar will be end automatically when the closing ceremony video. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.